Picture the great DOS platform pantheon of the early 90s. At the summit perch the immaculate Commander Keen episodes, Apogee's brash Duke Nukem barreling through soda spill keyboards, and Epic's neon loud Jazz Jackrabbit limbering up for 256 color foot races. Way down on a creaky, half-forgotten step of that temple sits Gateworld, the home planet, a side-scrolling shareware curiosity in which Captain Buzz Klondike, yes, an interstellar prospector named like an ice cream flavor, hops across asteroid caverns collecting stars, canisters, and the occasional lethal pogo bot while an AI starship named Stella heckles him through level introductions, bizarre or classical. Both, it's an Ed Wood sci-fi script stapled onto a meticulous Apogee design doc. Underrated or overrated? Ask nostalgia YouTubers and you'll hear hidden gem. Ask anyone who actually finished episode 1's boss run and you'll hear a sigh, an eye roll, and maybe a fond shrug. Fundamental or disposable? Think of Gateworld as the lost footnote that proves how crowded and how weirdly experimental the shareware scene became after ID Software yanked the market's attention with Wolfenstein 3D. My chosen absurd through line for this review: the game's unkillable boss monsters, giant sprite behemoths that patrolling back and forth like disgruntled Roombas, embodying everything Gateworld gets right, cheeky danger, and everything it gets wrong, design cul-de-sacs you must dodge, never defeat. Historical context: Gateworld's development history reads like a teleporter malfunction. Early 1991, the fledgling team at Homebrew Software pitches a Keen-style platformer to Apogee-Software. Apogee green-lights a prototype, imagining it as a spiritual sibling to Cosmo's Cosmic Adventure. 12 months later, Scott Miller cancels the project, labeling the build below Apogee quality, then redirects internal art assets toward what will become Major Striker. Homebrew, undeterred, salvages code, rewires the sprite engine, commissions new soundtrack tracks from Presonus, and self-publishes under the shareware model in 1993, episode 1 free, episodes 2 and 3 purchasable by phone order or BBS registration key. The 93 PC landscape is careening toward SVGA spectacle. Doom will drop at year's end. Myst is busy polishing CD-ROM vistas, and Epic's epic pinball is teaching sound blasters to shred. Into that retinal arms race stumbles Gateworld, clinging to 16-color EGA compatibility, yet boasting parallax star fields that refuse to scroll smoothly on a 386 without tweaking DOS memory managers. I discovered the shareware demo in a nest of 3.5-inch discs at the local library, labeled Platform Games, Miss Key in Sharpie, wedged between Secret Agent and a pirated copy of Commander Keen 6. My teenage criteria were simple: if it ran in an afternoon before dinner and looked at least 60% as cute as Keen's Dopefish, it passed. Gateworld squeaked by, but just barely. Its alien sprites looked like someone photocopied Metroid enemies and traced them with fluorescent gel pens. Yet the broader shareware market still had room. Epic Mega Games, Apogee, Softdisk, and dozens of garage studios flooded BBS nodes with platformers chasing the Keen dream. Homebrew's differentiator, narrative framing. The manual, a plain text readme with antsy art, outlines a pulpy premise. Buzz Klondike starship Stella censors an asteroid rich in nova minerals. Precious fuel for the wobbling Atarian economy. Landing goes sideways, Buzz plummets into networked gate chambers, and an ominous planet named Gateworld begins teleporting war machines toward Earth. Buzz must scavenge keys, advance through gates, disable machines, and eventually confront GORG, an acronym without an official expansion but plenty of ominous capital letters. In playground terms, Keen meets Stargate 5 months before Roland Emmerich bought his first reel of desert footage. Homebrew shipped Gateworld via regional distributors, Precision Software Publishing in the US, B&N companies in the UK, and even teased a Windows 95 port for 2001 that never materialized. By then, most DOS aficionados had moved on to Half-Life mods, and Gateworld's parallax dreams faded into abandonware directories waiting for modern DOSBox archaeologists. Mechanics Gateworld spreads its content across 3 episodes, each subdivided into 3 acts, each act containing 3 exploratory levels followed by an indestructible boss stage. Finite math fans will note that's 36 scrolling gauntlets plus 3 giant sprite arenas where you can't actually shoot the boss. Just dodge until you nuke a background machine to unlock the next teleporter. If that reminds you of Commander Keen 5's mangling machine gimmick, you're not imagining things. Controls are pure Apogee muscle memory. Ctrl to fire, Alt to jump, space to toggle inventory. Buzz's default blaster fires straight, angle upward or downward, while jumping to shoot diagonals. A boon when crab machines cling to ceiling outcroppings. Ammo comes in gun pickups, red for standard shots, blue for boomerangs that arc like cheap carnival prizes, green for spread fire 3 ways that echo Contra dreams but dissipate on collision. Enemies include pink mud slimes, harmless but obstructive, armored hover drones, 2 hits, and chirping proto-metroids that magnetize to your head like sci-fi toupees. Level layouts eclectically mix horizontal corridors with vertical shafts demanding pixel-perfect pogo leaps onto conveyor belts. The absurd constant, keys and gates. Each exploratory level hides a single teleporter key, a shimmering cube the color of a Mountain Dew can left under black light. Grab the key, trek to the gate portal, and warp out. Keys often dangle over spike pits or behind false walls flagged by 1-pixel cracks. Raise your hand if you spent 15 minutes pogo jumping every leftmost wall. The boss arenas flip the script. The key sits visible from spawn. The boss, a screen-straddling cyber serpent, pursues you and you must blast a destructible gizmo on the far wall while bunny-hopping lasers. Because the boss sprites are invulnerable, early players assumed the shareware episode was buggy. Homebrew eventually added readme clarifications. Bosses are indestructible, attack the machine. When your design requires readme footnotes, you might be courting communication trouble. Gateworld sprinkles power-up stars like confetti, some grant temp invulnerability or rapid fire. Others camouflage as harmful stars exploding after a countdown. It's comedic Russian roulette. Do you hoard stars hoping for shield time before a death maze? Or risk a fake star detonating in your face? Meanwhile, canisters restore health, fuel cells raise point totals, Stella politely thanks you in off-screen text, and lives a crew at 100,000 points. An Apogee standard. Sound effects clang with Gus-compatible FM twangs. Presonus' soundtrack loops 4-channel MODs that wouldn't feel out of place in a future crew demo. Catchy for the first half hour, then destined for the mute key. Mini rant. Enemy placement occasionally borders on sadistic. Episode 1, Act 3 features conveyor belts dumping you onto spiked floors while a turret above pings diagonal plasma exactly where you need to stand to time a jump. Keen punished sloppy navigation. Gateworld sometimes punishes breathing, yet the game offsets cruelty with generosity. No timer, unlimited retrieves per checkpoint, and a save load anywhere feature absent from many shareware peers. I recall saving mid-air during a frantic rocket pack descent, reloading into my own doom loop, and learning the hard way that impulsive F2 taps can backfire. Graphically, Gateworld leans into dark palettes, blues, violets, gunmetal, perhaps to match EGA limits, yet still suggest alien hostility. Background parallax adds depth, but chugs on a 386 SX. Toggling detail down F9 smooths gameplay at the cost of losing star layer illusions. Boss sprites, by contrast, flaunt bright oranges and teals. Eye candy you can't shoot. It's the aesthetic equivalent of a donut behind bulletproof glass. Delicious, maddening, slightly cruel. Legacy and Influence Gateworld never crack PC gamers' shareware charts. Reviews tucked between VGA Golf Sims praised its sprite art, but panned repetitive level geometry. Yet among DOS hobbyists, it achieved cult sleeper status, partly due to its aborted Apogee lineage. Had Miller not pulled the plug, we might remember Gateworld as Major Striker's cousin rather than an abandonware orphan. Community trivia threads still debate which Apogee artists ghost drew early tile sets before Homebrew's Edge creations, and Soft Scene repainted them. Influence, while subtle, lingers. The invulnerable boss mechanic, defeat the environment, not the monster, shows up in mid-90s indie platformers and even Metroid Dread's Emmy sequences. Gateworld's diagonal gunplay predates Jazz Jackrabbit's 8-way shooter mechanics by a hair, though Epic's implementation felt smoother. And that star roulette. Modern roguelikes love risk-reward pickups that occasionally explode. Gateworld planted a twinkling seed. Homebrew Software kept a skeletal website through the 2000s promising a Windows port soon. But by the time Windows XP killed easy DOS sound, the domain mostly served as a resume for coder Ken Rogaway, who transitioned into 3D visualization for theme parks. True Story Check, his LinkedIn community preservationists, host the shareware episode on archive.org, complete with .exe stubs configured for DOSBox, ensuring a new generation can suffer conveyor belt indignities without battling EMS memory. Speedrunner intrigue rekindled interest circa 2020 when the Random DOS Game Show YouTube channel clocked a 24-minute episode 1 clear. Records hinge on zipline glitches. Jumping as a screen transitions lets Buzz teleport upward, skipping half the map. Homebrew's code never anticipated frame-perfect DOSBox cycles. One man's oversight becomes another speedrunner's dopamine drip. Why did Gateworld remain niche? Timing and polish. Released months before Doom detonated shareware expectations, Gateworld's slower scroll and EGA palette felt yesterday. The name Homebrew Software lacked Apogee's marketing megaphone. BBS file HID descriptions often misspelled Gateworld, scattering its recognition across directories. And truth be told, episode 1's difficulty spike scared casual players long before they reached the mail order screen. Shareware's razor edge economics demanded the free slice delight, not demoralize. Gateworld sometimes whacked newcomers with a spiked ceiling before they found its goofy charm. Closing paragraph plus score boot Gateworld today via DOSBox, and you'll hear crunchy FM chords, see vulture robots waddling on parallax plateaus, and possibly mutter, wow, Keen's cousin dropped out of art school. Give it a full episode though, and patterns emerge. Generous save anywhere design, bullet hell boss arenas that require environment awareness, and a Kirby pink slime enemy whose only attack is mild inconvenience. Is it bizarre or classical? Both. An earnest Apogee homage filtered through an indie garage lens. Underrated or overrated? With the bar set by Jazz and Newcomb, Gateworld overshot ambition, undershot polish. So underrated in vision, overlooked in libraries. Fundamental or disposable? Disposable if you crave modern velocity, invaluable if you study shareware's evolutionary cul-de-sacs. My final verdict, 6.9 out of 10, a wobbly asteroid orbiting the platform star system, worth a visit for retro astronauts willing to dodge indestructible bosses and bask in VGA midnight suns.